Good evening, everybody. We are back with our Everyone's an Educator series. We are here down at Denny's in Webster. We'd love for you to come on down. We're having light bites and some good socializing and some good information. We'd love to see you. And so if you have time on a Saturday evening, we'd love to have you here. We'll be doing these every Saturday for the next few weeks. We'll find out what the next topic is shortly and make sure we announce that for you guys before the end. So I hope you're joining us. I have a moderator behind the screens. I cannot see your comments, but please comment. Please ask questions. Please participate. And my moderator, who is watching all of that, will read them out to me so that we can get them answered. Tonight's topic is all about cognitive development in children. So we're really going to dive deep into how children make decisions. Have you ever caught yourself looking at your kids and being like, why did they do that? Why did they choose that? That was foolish. Well, there's a reason for that, and it goes to their brain development. So we're going to talk just briefly about cognitive development. Again, please ask questions. Please let me know your own stories. We'll have time for y'all to share those in a little bit. And so let's go ahead and get started. So most of y'all know me. I'm Monique Carlisle, and I have been an educator for 17 years. 19. I need to update that number. It's been a minute. I have 5 children. I did homeschool them in elementary, and I've been working with children for many years. So my favorite subject is actually cognitive development. And I love to support anybody who works with kids. So right now, MC Squared Potential has a mission to really empower parents, new educators, and society as a whole to become more educated and therefore safer. Because when you know better, you do better. So that's just a little bit about me. Would love to introduce myself more personally to you. Please drop a comment. We'll catch up over coffee. It can be a virtual coffee, but of course you are welcome to come down here to Denny's in Webster and hang out before and after our talk. So why do we need to discuss cognitive development in children? Well, that's because it develops in stages. So children from birth through adolescence, okay, I'm going to dive right here just a little bit. Some people don't fully develop their ability to make good decisions until well into their 20s. But we're just going to stop at 18 today as far as our discussion goes, and how that develops over time. Obviously, you can extrapolate that a 3-year-old does a lot of memory games and playing vocabulary building and that kind of thing, very basic information. And your middle schoolers and high schoolers are doing more creation activities and more analysis activities. That happens intentionally in the brain. It's just the way it is. So it develops in stages, and when we understand each stage, we can actually support our kids in that decision-making process, and it relieves our stress. So as parents and educators, when we work with kids and we understand what their ability is to make decisions, we can take some of those decision-making requirements off of them. If they're not ready to analyze a situation, don't ask them to. It's as simple as that. Then you're not frustrating them. They're not going to make poor decisions just due to the fact that they don't know how to make that decision. So let's dive in. So what is cognitive development? And please comment if this music's a little too loud and you can't hear me. I want to make sure that you get all of this good information. So cognitive development is essentially the process by which children acquire knowledge, the process in which they think, problem solve, and make decisions. This plays a crucial role in their overall development into becoming a functional adult. If you can't make good decisions as an adolescent and young adult, those decisions can really impact your life in substantial ways, relationally, financially, socially. So we want to make sure we're teaching our kids how to look at a situation and think it through and make good decisions. So that's kind of why it's so important that we understand cognitive development in kids. Now, everything we're talking about does apply to the classroom as well, but we're going to focus really on the home environment and how we can support kids from early childhood through adolescence at home. So Bloom's taxonomy is a hierarchical framework that helps us understand how cognitive development develops, how it develops over time from the early stages of remembering and knowledge all the way through being able to analyze, evaluate, and even create their own understandings and opinions. As we mentioned, children are going to progress through each of these stages. The list is from first development, early childhood, remember and understand. Oh, food's here!
Quick pause.
Oh my gosh. So we ordered this amazing brisket mac and cheese, and it is so good. So I really wish you would, oh my gosh, it smells so good. And I have to wait because I'm talking.
It's delicious.
It's so good. I've had it before.
Can't wait.
And I have to wait because I'm talking to you. But if you were here, you wouldn't have to wait. We would let you dig in immediately. So I hope you join us next week. So as we were saying, remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Those are the levels. And the list is in order of easiest or simplest or earliest development, remembering, all the way through most complex development, creation, and evaluation. And they are going to progress through each of these levels as they mature over time. So there are 3 main stages of development. Every child is different. This is a range. Children might develop faster or slower, but in general, early childhood is going to focus on remembering and understanding. Middle childhood is going to focus on applying and analyzing. And then your adolescence is going to focus on evaluating and creating. So early childhood. If you tuned in last week, you will notice that we are starting early childhood. We're starting with early childhood and not infancy. Children are unable to make decisions before the age of 2-ish. Okay, they don't have the mental capacity, the cognitive development to really process their emotions. So it's not until 2 that you can really start with the memorization and basic comprehension. And even at this level, they're not making decisions. This level focuses on knowledge, facts, routines, and things like that in the home. So what do you do as a parent? Some very simple strategies: storytelling, reading with your students, reading with your kids every night. That not only has an impact on your relationship with your kids, but it has an impact on their academics and their decision-making skills, because they start noticing how characters in a story react consistently. The wolf is almost always the bad guy, and it's scary, and that builds a schema. Dogs and cats and pets are things that we care for. Families love each other and have meals together and play sports together. These are all themes that you see in early childhood books. So reading is really, really important at all ages, but especially at this one. You also want to provide those hands-on learning experiences. Involve your children in your day-to-day life. Ask them to point out, and put the carrots on the table, or choose the blueberry packet from the grocery store, and talk to them, build blocks with them, read books and have them point out things. When you're playing in the bathtub with the rubber ducky, use the proper words. We're going to dig into this a little bit more, but those are some general strategies. So let's dig into what is remember, what is understand. When we talk about the cognitive process of remembering, it's memory. It's just recalling basic information. It's vocabulary. It's facts and figures, routines and rules. So your early childhood, 2 to 6, are learning what is right and wrong in the house. Do I always put my toys away in this bucket? How do I set the table properly? Do the cups always go on this shelf when I'm unloading the dishwasher? How do I tie my shoes before we leave? Do I always need to push in my chair in school? routines, procedures, things like that. Memorization games. I'm sure you remember as a kid, if you have kids of your own, you played the memory game. You turned out all the cards upside down, and then you flipped them over and you had to remember where they are. Children love that because that's the stage they're in. They're in that memory space. And that's why they point to everything and say, what is that? Or they'll call it something. This is where schema starts to be developed. Schema is the concept, is the broad concepts, such as what is a dog? It's 4 legs, it's furry, has pointy ears, okay? When they see a cow for the first time, they might call it a dog because they don't recognize that it's something different, or they might say, what is that? And now you're going to break that schema and start defining it better. So building that vocabulary, talking about the food you're putting on the table are all great things to build that remember stage and having those good conversations to help them build knowledge, basic knowledge. Understanding is taking it just a little further, and this is where they start to make meaning from their experiences. Now, it's very important to understand that at this level, they don't really articulate the meaning. The meaning happens in their brains. For example, cause and effect. They love cars and blocks. They're gonna build blocks and then knock it down, and it's gonna make a loud noise. And they're gonna giggle and they're gonna laugh and they're gonna think it's the coolest, funniest thing in the world. They're gonna build it up and they're gonna crash it down. They're learning that that action of it falling over causes a sound. Same thing with cars and trucks and things that make noise. They're gonna push that button and make it screech and wail and whatever that button does on their toys over and over and over again, because they're solidifying that when I do this, something happens. When I push this car, it keeps rolling. When I throw the ball, it goes a distance. When I push this button, it makes a noise. They're understanding things like cause and effect. They're going to start recognizing patterns and categorizing objects. So you will see this naturally when they start. Picky eaters will start pushing foods away from each other. My peas can't touch my potatoes. My carrots can't touch my meat. They want to categorize it. They want to keep it in pieces because that's what they're starting to understand. Be patient with them. They'll get through it. But that's kind of where they are, is starting to take all of that knowledge and understand its place in the world. So what can you do? Oops, I forgot to change that, but that's okay. So early childhood, again, is remembering, understanding. So providing repetition and reinforcement, playing the same memory games over and over again. If they say, what is that? You tell them what it is. There's no such thing as I told you yesterday or I told you 5 minutes ago. If you get annoyed with the blocks always crashing, set a time limit on it and say, okay, well, we're going to come back to those blocks in 20 minutes and give yourself a break to let your brain rest from the chaos of having a little child. Visual aids. I'm a big proponent of chores. So at this age, children are not reading, but you can create a visual reminder of where the dishes go. I recommended last week that if you want your child unloading the dishwasher, put your plates and cups and things on the lower shelves. That way they can do it successfully. You might put pictures on that shelf that shows the plate goes here. You could do a picture schedule for chores. Maybe one has a broom, and so they know that they get to check it off when they've swept. Or maybe you have a picture of a table. They set the table, check. Or a picture of socks, and they need to gather their laundry. Whatever's appropriate for your household, you can create a picture schedule and use those visual aids. You can also encourage questions. It's really, really important that we have an open dialogue with our children. You're going to see that theme through each of these levels. We always want to be open and receptive to our children asking questions. What is that? Why comes later. We'll talk about it in a second. What is that is the common question here. And you just want to keep providing that. So they're going to notice differences in people and they're going to ask questions and point out that that person's got darker skin, or that person's wearing glasses, or that person's really tall, or that person's really short. They're just noticing, and if we just treat it kind of neutrally, they're not being critical, they're not being judgmental, they're just noticing their world and understanding where they fit into it. Play with your kids. Always have those play-based learning opportunities and encourage social interaction. Bring other kids into a play space, whether it's the park or your home or a third-party play space. They're all over Houston, everywhere. And so that way they can start practicing social interactions, because that's another thing. How we treat each other socially is a routine and rule. We have certain social rules on how we treat others, such as we don't hit, right? We say please, we say thank you. This is where they're starting to work through those ideas and practicing them. So you want to encourage that. And then we did mention everyday experiences. Take them to the grocery store, take them to the doctor's office, take them to the park. Give them exposure to as much as you can, and just build their vocabulary and knowledge base. All right, before we move on to middle childhood, do we have any comments, questions, anything happening in the chat?
Well, Julius has joined us, and
hi, Julius.
And Ivy has joined us.
Pleasure to have you guys.
Caroline.
All right.
Who's watching? Feel free to
appreciate y'all.
Feel free to comment.
Yes, please do comment. Again, we're down here in Webster. Would love to have you join us next week for our next seminar. We will find that title for you so you know what to expect and announce it at the end. So middle childhood is all about applying and analyzing. So this is the age, the preteen age, when they first start school, 7 to 11 years old. So they've got their facts and figures, their routines and processes. They're starting to understand subtly in the back of their minds how that knowledge is used in the world. Now they're going to use the knowledge. So there's a fine line between seeing how the knowledge is used and starting to use it themselves. So at this point, this is where they start actively using knowledge. So what we want to do as parents is really supporting them, problem-solving efforts. If they're trying to figure out how to fold a napkin to put them away in the drawer, or trying to figure out how to fold a shirt to fit it into their drawer, whatever, encourage them and let them figure that out. Give some guidance, give some modeling, but definitely be that spokesperson for positive encouragement. This is also the time when you get to start having conversations with your kids. You're going to promote critical thinking through strategic questioning, through dialogue. Talk to your kids. This is where the why question comes in. They're going to ask you why, and you're going to respond with an age-appropriate answer to their question. You're going to have a dialogue, and then you get to flip it. When they make a decision, you get to ask them why. Not critically, just why did you choose the red shirt over the blue shirt? Something as simple as that. So we're gonna, and they could be any reason, you know, their best friend's wearing red today, or the blue shirt smelled, or whatever is their reasoning. We're gonna help them kind of start thinking through that intentionally. So what is apply? Apply is where they're navigating practical situations and they're becoming fluent with familiar contexts. So this is where you're going to start seeing chores at home becoming a little more rote, a little more routine. They are no longer needing a lot of guidance to load the dishwasher or unload the dishwasher or clean up their room. They know clothes go here, toys go here, so on and so forth. So all those familiar contexts. If mom says, hey guys, we're leaving in 10 minutes, they know socks, shoes, jacket, hat, sunglasses, whatever your routine is, they get that and they go. You do have to reinforce that, but a lot of times they kind of know the basics that when you're getting to go, that's a familiar context to them. They start completing routines and basic processes independently. What I do with my kids is, and this is a personal opinion, I apply a 10% perfection expectation. What I mean by that, or by year, what I mean by that, when my children were around the age of 5, I expected 50% perfection on their chore. So as long as they did half the chore properly, I was happy. And then that increases. So at 6 years old, they should be able to do 60% of the chore. So whether that's loading 60% of the dishwasher and they leave the big pots, or cleaning their room 60% and then they maybe didn't vacuum, or they missed some toys over here, or their backpack's not picked up, things like that. And then 70%, 80%. What that means is by the age of 10, I had a high expectation of my kids, 100% completion. Now, I wasn't mean. I don't suggest being mean to your kids, but that becomes the expectation. So I would call them back and say, hey, when we do dishes, we put the silverware in as well. When you're assigned dishes, you have to clean the hand wash too. So you have that higher expectation. That's just a personal opinion, how I raised my kids. Analysis or analyze is their ability to break down information into parts. They're starting to identify the patterns and relationships. So they're starting to see that there's a sequence to things. And this is intentional. So remember we talked about understand was subtle. It was in the back of their heads. They couldn't really articulate it. Now we're starting to articulate that there's a sequence to cleaning the front room. There's a sequence to washing laundry. There's a sequence to getting ready for school or getting ready for bed. Cause and effect, they can start articulating. This is where consequences come into play. If you don't pick up your room, you lose your TV time. So those kinds of consequences can come into play, and they start seeing that intentionally. And then they can make a decision. Hey, if you're not going to clean up your room, you're going to lose your favorite TV show, or whatever the consequences that's appropriate in your home. Analysis is also the ability, just like it sounds, to analyze different viewpoints and perspectives. So why do you think your friend did that? Why do you think that character did that in the story? How do you feel about this? Is there a better way to look at this? This is my opinion. You can talk about your own perspectives and opinions. I like my socks to be matched. I like all my whites together, all my blacks together, all my colors. And your child might not care. And so they might be matching different colors, or like my son who's colorblind, he matches green and yellow all the time. Like those don't match. But you can talk, hey, why did you do that? And how does that make you feel? They're starting to look at those perspectives. And then, of course, understanding motivations. Not only why other people do things, but why they do things. Why is that your favorite show? Why is that your favorite game? What is it about this friend that you appreciate? And that's a big one, because at this age, this is where you get the frenemies, where children like and then don't like each other off and on. And so you can have an honest dialogue. Well, what makes you appreciate this person? And why are y'all not on good terms now? What did they do to upset you? And why do you think they did that? You're starting to have those critical conversations to analyze why people do what they do. And this is super important, because when you fast forward into adulthood and they are mistreated by anybody, whether it's a boss or a coworker or a person at the grocery store, they need the ability to step back and say, what could be going on with that person? Do I need to be personally hurt? Do I need to do something about this affront that just happened to me? How can I handle this in the best way possible? That process starts in this middle childhood. All right, so what can you do? Encourage that critical thinking. Encourage the conversations that we were just talking about. Practice problem-solving activities. There's all sorts of games that are intended for problem solving. So you can definitely incorporate those. Expose them to different interests. If they have been dedicated to one sport since 3, 4, 5 years old, maybe enroll them in a different sport. Let them try something different. Start bringing in arts and crafts and let them practice that. This is the time when they're going to start looking at what other people enjoy and want to try it themselves. Well, my friend went fishing this weekend. Can we go fishing? Or my friend said she took a bunch of pictures. They were really cool. I want to take some pictures. and then work with your child to expand their interests so they can start learning who they are. And you'll notice some of this is very much closely aligned with how they develop socio-emotionally through, if you look at last week's, you'll see a nice parallel between how they think about life and how they're developing socio-emotionally. You want to encourage independence. So as I had mentioned, 50%, 60%, 70%, not perfection, but keep attaining those higher goals and as independently as they can be. And developing an independent ability to analyze information. Where do they get information? Are you only watching one news network? Are they reading anything, magazines, newspapers? Are they getting all of their information from social media? Really having that conversation and teaching them, how can I critically look at this news article or this post from a friend that says this or that? Probably not about politics, but maybe about a movie. Their friend says this movie is amazing. Okay, well, why do they say it's amazing? What is amazing about it? And do we want to spend money on it? Is it worth that? And having that critical conversation. Teach them how to review information critically. And then, of course, you need to model this as well. This means thinking aloud. So when you're sitting down to make the grocery list, it's as simple as, we had lasagna last night, so let's not have lasagna this week. Let's do chicken. Oh, I see that steak is on sale, so we're going to do steak. Let's do this or that based on whatever your reasons are. But thinking aloud as to why you're going to do certain things. And even when you're trying to decide what to do with your evening. Do I want to watch this movie or show? I'm not really into something funny. I want to watch something silly. Maybe you're in the mood for a comedy, but not something scary, or you want to watch something kind of scary, but not silly. Talking about why you would choose a different movie, and just modeling that critical thinking. So that is building your children through middle childhood. All right, our last piece, of course, I did mention earlier, some people do take a little bit longer to finish developing their decision-making abilities. There is current research out that supports that, but for our talk today, we are going to stop at 18. So adolescence is at 12 to 18 years, and it's all about evaluation and creation. So they're going beyond analysis into making their own opinions about something. So not just analyzing whether this decision or that decision is right, but evaluating whether that decision is right for them and whether it matches their opinion and their personality and their needs and wants. So evaluation is kind of like analysis, but takes it just a step further and brings it internally. Creation is similar, in that they start creating things based on their own interests and passions and hobbies. So essentially it's learning to assess information and make opinions about it, and create their own ideas about all of those things. So at this level, it is super, super, super important. If you have not started discussions with your children, now is the time to do it, because they have the ability to have those coherent conversations, and you'd be surprised the opinions that they have and the amount of information that they gather from friends and family, and even news articles that their teachers present in class for analysis. You would be surprised what they think about certain things. Right, wrong, indifferent. We're not making a judgment because we don't know what they think until we ask. So encouraging those discussions and helping them explore those diverse perspectives is really important at this stage. So evaluation, as we kind of described, is all about multiple perspectives, making those judgments based on evidence and reasoning, and then deciding what their opinion is. So they are making a judgment, an opinion, a perspective based on facts and figures. This is where we're going to start questioning assumptions. So as we had mentioned last week, this is the age where they start asking, well, why do I need to go to church? Or why do I have to continue playing the piano? Or I don't want to be in football anymore. Why do I have to go? They start questioning a lot of things and evaluating, is it good for them, and who they are and who they're developing into. Creation is kind of almost the flip side. They are going to take what the facts and figures and everything they've learned, and they're going to create. They're going to come up with new ideas. This is where they're going to have these really awesome, we should do this concept, and they're going to want to do things their own way. They're going to want to rearrange their room and put their socks in the top drawer versus the second drawer, or combine their socks and underwear in the same drawer, or color code their closet, or rearrange their room because it's more functional to them. They're going to create their space that matches who they are. So encourage them, as long as they're doing it safely and it's not going to impede your routines in your family. If they share a room, they probably don't want to rearrange it without having some say from the other people who live in that room, but encouraging that creation. This is also where a lot of children take the arts a step further. They want to join theater, and they want to join art class, and they want to paint, and they want to sculpt, and they want to write, or they want to sing, or they want to learn a new instrument. They're really wanting to take who they are and create with it. Create something, anything, and just make life different around them and see how they can impact life. So that's all about creation. So how can you support that? Encourage that independence. Be supportive if they want to shift from football to basketball. It's not going to hurt them to make a 1 semester or a 1 year shift, and find out if that's a better place for them. I hear often, since we're on football, that there's this football scholarship and to get into college. And yes, that might be true, but if they do get a football scholarship, they have to continue playing football at that college. And if they don't enjoy it and it's pulling down their mental health and their spiritual health, and they're just not feeling fulfilled in that role, are we really doing them a service? There are other scholarships out there. There is opportunity for them to go to college in other ways. So that is a personal opinion, just how I feel about that. So I firmly encourage you to allow them to explore. And if they want to explore something, if they want to explore 2 things at one time, so they love football, but they also want to do basketball, enroll them in an after-school club or an outside camp during the summer, those things. My son has been playing the clarinet for a few years, and he's phenomenal. And he's right now decided he wants to learn a bunch of different instruments. So he's self-taught percussion and piano and the recorder. He started learning a little bit of the guitar. Well, recently he's decided he wants to do orchestra. He wants to play the violin. And I was a little taken aback because I was worried he was quitting band. But no, we talked and I said, okay, what's going on? Tell me about this. And he said, well, there's an after-school orchestra club and I want to go. I want to learn to play the violin. You got it, dude. And so he got the violin. He's going to the orchestra club. He's adding to his own self-expression in a way that doesn't detract from his band experience, because he doesn't want to lose that. He wants both. I can give him both. Go to the after-school club. So find those creative opportunities to encourage that independent expression. This is also where social media gets really, really intense for a lot of kids. So just like we were teaching earlier, having that critical eye on information, they need to have a critical eye on media consumption and what's out there. It's not all good. It's not all right. And they need to know that. So it can be a springboard for thought, but it should not be the end all to be all for how they make their decisions. So encouraging that so they can evaluate and find more information to complete that puzzle. And encourage that debate and discussion. So as they find new information, maybe they disagree with you. Have that discussion in a healthy way. It's okay to disagree with somebody. It's okay to have different opinions and perspectives. We want to encourage them to find their own voice in all of this. Of course, modeling your own critical thinking. We talked a little bit about that. And then encouraging that project-based learning. So, what's the name of that show? Mythbusters, and it's like, I want to build this, I want to do this, does this work? Or any of the really cool TikToks and things where they make stuff happen and they build things. If they say, I want to do that, I want to try that, I want to make that, Okay, let's figure out how, and task them to do the research. Task them to figure out the materials. If they don't have a job or they're really young, you might have to provide the financial support to build those materials if it's appropriate, but encourage that project-based pursuit. Encourage them to go out and make it happen, and create something and make them and help them develop that independence. And that kind of goes with that entrepreneurial thinking. If they have a better way to do something or they want to make an invention, let them try and do what you can to find the resources, whether that's information or people or clubs. Reach out to me. I have a huge network. So if you need some advice or insight into how to help your child do something, please let me know. And if I can help, I certainly will. So that is kind of how we can help our adolescents in this stage of development. All right, so to recap, cognitive development is a dynamic process. It develops over time from those basic remembering and facts and figures all the way through creating their own thing, whatever that looks like. Each stage can be found in Bloom's taxonomy, so you're welcome to do some research. I can send you some information as well. And there are specific strategies that we can use to support each stage individually so that they can learn to make good decisions. So your basic strategies, just in a nutshell, we're going to demonstrate and model thinking skills. So that's that thinking aloud. We're going to give patience and age-appropriate challenges, whether that's a physical challenge, such as building blocks, and finding out if they crash and if it makes the same noise on carpet versus wooden floor, or whether it's higher level challenges such as creating an invention. And provide guidance through open dialogue. Talk with your kids all the time. Ask them what's going on and help them just start talking about what's going on, because that's the way you're going to see where they are cognitively. So it is your turn. If you want to drop some thoughts and comments in on the chat, I would love to hear them. My moderator will read them out. I will send this PowerPoint out to anybody. To protect your privacy, please do not put your email in the chat. This is a publicly available Facebook Live. So write down my email address, mc2potential@gmail.com. That is my business address. Email me and just say, hey, I attended the cognitive development training. Can I get the PowerPoint? Happy to send it. This is good information. I want to help you support your kids and help your kids grow strong. Again, mc2potential@gmail.com. All right, my moderator's getting the chat, making sure we don't miss anybody. Again, we're down in Denny's at Webster. Would love to have you out here to have some food with us. Set aside a little bit of time, 7 o'clock every Saturday for the next few weeks. Did we find out what the next topic was?
Next topic, where is that posted?
It should be everywhere. It should be on my Facebook page. So I'm going to turn this off. We will grab that and post it, or
check it out right there. If you're online.
I don't know if I'm online, but just a second.
Oh, and that mac and cheese is delicious. Let's get a close up. Oh, let's get a close up. Oops. Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Brisket, barbecue brisket mac and cheese. But check the...
Okay, here we go. Next week, we are talking about Beyond Practice Makes Perfect. We're going to talk about how you can do more than just basic things around the house with your kids. We're talking about activities to do with your children to support their development and encourage them. Everything from board games, card games, to interactive activities and field trips and things like that. So we're going to talk all about going beyond practicing a skill and making it meaningful in the home. So I hope you can join us on September 9th at 7 o'clock here at Denny's.
And as always, I appreciate you coming and joining us for Facebook Live. Y'all have a wonderful evening.
There's a whole series, though.
There is a whole series.
Each Saturday for the next month and a half or so.
Yep. So September.
Some of the other topics include?
So September 16th, we're talking about field trips. So if you would take advantage of the
That's a good one.
free Thursday Houston Museums, then I can show you how to make those field trips more than just a place, a time to go spend somewhere. You can actually make them very meaningful. And then on September 23rd, we're talking about research skills. So how can we grow the analytical thinking and research skills starting in first grade? As a classroom teacher, I did teach my first graders basic research skills so that they could actually do research reports. So can't wait to share those things with you. Check out my website for all of this. It's www.mc2potential.com/events. That will take you straight to the events page, and you can see all of the next ones coming up. We will be down here.
Facebook Meetup.
Yes, we are on Facebook events. We've got Meetup. You can register through Eventbrite on the website. Lots of places. Please share. Bring your friends. I will feed you.
You're going to be speaking somewhere soon?
Huh?
Are you speaking somewhere soon?
No.
Okay. Look for all those opportunities on the website, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye for now.